Hey guys, Dr. Berg here. In this video, we're going to talk about insomnia, depression, and anxiety, okay? There's a lot of confusion out there. When you look up depression, psychiatrists say, well, depression causes insomnia, okay? And it leads to anxiety, and anxiety leads to depression. I mean, it's just like one big ball of confusion. And of course, we have a drug for you. But let's just take a look at what the difference is between depression and anxiety. Depression is the blues. It's apathy. You lose hope. You don't care anymore. You're feeling down, okay? Anxiety is worry, fear, panic, always nervous, always thinking, always solving problems, okay? So that's the difference between those two. Now, I believe that insomnia, if you were to correct that, you would see huge changes. So let's talk about what would cause insomnia. Normally, light is supposed to wake you up in the morning, right? And then when it gets dark, it's supposed to help you go to sleep. And this is all controlled by these circadian rhythms, are called. And there's hormones involved. You have a clock, a mini clock in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nuclei. And it's triggered by light and dark, okay? So vitamin D, for example, when you're out in the sunlight, you get more vitamin D. Vitamin D is really good as an antidepressant type thing. And that's probably why the winter's months people get depressed, because they don't have enough vitamin D. So that's one thing. But how many people sit inside all day watching their computers? Like they're sitting all day long watching YouTube videos. I don't know if you know anyone. Maybe you. Of course, myself too. I watch a lot of YouTube. But vitamin D will light triggers vitamin D absorption through the skin. But you got to be outside and be exposed to it. Now, when it gets dark out, which is interesting because you may be you're inside the room and it's light until you finally turn the light off. So there's no chance for the darkness to start stimulating the hormone called melatonin. So melatonin is, if you take it as a supplement, it'll start to create some tiredness because it turns into serotonin, which is the sleep hormone, which is also a mood hormone too. So we have this hormonal shift, okay? And then even in the morning, there's another hormone that kicks in that wakes you up. It's called noradrenaline. It's similar to adrenaline. Okay, so we also have other things that can help you sleep as well, and that would be making sure that you have enough B1. If you're deficient in vitamin B1, you're going to be very restless. You're going to have a lot of nervous tension. You're not going to be able to wind down easily at night. You're going to be excessively thinking all the time. So that's that nervous energy, that low tolerance to stress. It's basically related to the adrenals. When your adrenal gland is overactive, you deplete B1. And so it's kind of like you have this flight or fight nervous stress state that you are stuck in. Okay, so we need B1. The other thing that will deplete B1 is alcohol and sugar, refined carbohydrates, and also having gastric bypass. Here you are trying to lose weight, and you get a gastric bypass, and now you can't absorb B1 that well. So, and then that creates sleeping problems and more weight gain, you name it. The minerals that help sleep are magnesium and potassium and calcium. So those are the three minerals that are relaxing. They're calming on the nervous system. Where do you get these three minerals? From vegetables, okay? That's the main source. So you want to consume enough vegetables. The other thing that can affect your sleep, especially urinating all night long, would be having insulin resistance. That's like a pre-diabetic, or even being a diabetic. So what we want to do is we want to correct that. I put some links down below if you have a blood sugar issue. I don't want to go into that right now, but if you have that problem, that could actually seriously affect your sleep. Hypoglycemia, that's a low blood sugar, very similar to insulin resistance. But what happens is that you might find in the middle of the night, you just wake up for no reason. That's because the blood sugars drop and it stimulates adrenaline that kicks in the blood sugars again and starts to kind of come back up. So try to sleep if you have adrenaline running through your bloodstream. It's not going to work. And then lastly, digestion. Digestion can seriously affect your quality of sleep, especially at night. Let's say you have dinner and then you sit in front of the TV and you start grazing and start snacking. By the time you go to bed, you're stuffed. You think that might affect your sleep? It does. So we really want to make sure that you, after dinner, you don't eat anything, okay, until you go to bed. That's going to actually greatly help the quality of sleep. The other thing is getting outside to get some space. You're inside all day long, you need to get outside, go for a walk. Walking is the best thing to chill out the adrenal gland, which is involved in stress and many sleep issues, okay? So that's pretty much, that will help you with insomnia. Now, if you have a specific symptom of depression, the two vitamins that are involved in depressed states are vitamin B3 and B12. So what I do, I like to recommend nutritional yeast. Take it in a tablespoon a couple times a day because you need probably more. But those two are really good to actually pull someone out of depression. But it also could be that your digestive system is so far off you can't absorb B vitamins. Let's say you have leaky gut or damage or IBS or constipation. Those things could affect the absorption. Or if you drink a lot of alcohol, that could be it right there. But the B vitamins are key in depression. Or you could have a hypothyroid issue, which is deeper. It's a bile deficiency, gallbladder or liver, or high estrogen from the cycle could cause a hypothyroid issue. I have some videos on that. I'll put a link down below. But I would honestly first start trying to work on your sleep to get to sleep better, because you'll be surprised. You may have such chronic fatigue that it feels like you're depressed. It's almost the same sensation. So I would go after, get some energy, and then see if you're really depressed, okay? Now, then you have anxiety. That's usually adrenal. The adrenal controls the adaptation of stress and to the body. So your body's adapting to stress states. But when the adrenal gland is being stimulated too often, it can almost kind of put you in a state of stress mode 24/7, almost like you're kind of in a flight or fight. And it could come from many reasons. Let's say you're drinking a lot of coffee. You had a history in college. You drank a lot of coffee like myself. Massive dosages of high quality Cuban coffee. That was me. And I would just drink tons of it. And then all of a sudden, I just started crashing and burning. So you have things that stimulate the adrenal. Caffeine will do it. And then also just being in a stress state, being in a bad relationship, having a trauma, emotional stress, watching too much of the news will do it. Unfortunately, in the news, there's like constant speculation. Like it's always recycled. It's the same story recycled. What if this happens? What if that happens? So you really have to control what you watch, what you're exposed to. Because if you sit there and watch TV and then try to go to bed, it's going to be on your mind. So I would recommend turning that thing off and reading a book. The other thing that what I use for the adrenal is I use an adrenal night formula and my massage tool before bed every night. I'll put a link down below for more information on that. Now, for anxiety, it's B1. B1 deficiency will handle most types of anxiety. So that's in the nutritional yeast again. So you could just take the nutritional yeast and kill two birds with one stone. It also is going to help you sleep as well, especially that that winding down at night. Potassium is really important in anxiety as well because it's a physiological tranquilizer. It's a calming mineral. It works similar to magnesium, but it calms the pulse rate down. If the way that you know you're potassium deficient is your pulse rate's really high, and you put your head on the pillow and you feel that pounding, boom, 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 boom. You're potassium deficient, and you just can't wind down easily. If you have enough potassium, you will be able to sleep, and your muscles will be relaxed. And then just avoid, like I talked about in other videos, you have to take a long list of all the people that are stressing you out and just avoid them, because I've been in practice for a long time, and I keep running the same situation where you start digging deep into their environment, and they're loaded with just people that are constantly stressing them out. I'm like, why don't you do something about it? Well, I can't. Well, find another relationship or something, because it's just killing you. So those are some things. Now, nutritionally, I think it's going to help you. And I think change of environment, going for long walks, exercise is going to really help you. But I want to just kind of mention this thing that's happening recently. There's a lot of people put on psych drugs, Prozac, medication, okay? Now, what's going to happen in the next couple of years, you're going to see a shift to another form of therapy, which is pretty scary for depression and even anxiety. And they use it under this classification of treatment resistance. So if the drugs don't work, they do the next thing, okay? And it's called deep brain stimulation. And I'm not kidding you, that's actually used right now in a lot of hospitals. Even there's 4 children's centers around Washington, D.C. right now that use this therapy on kids. I'm not kidding. I'll put some links down. I don't want to depress you anymore, but I want to increase your awareness on what's going to happen or what some doctors are shifting to. Some are going away from drugs into even ECT, electric shock therapy, for depression. Unfortunately, that's what's going to be happening. So I want your awareness to be very high, and if you see this, definitely object to it, because when they do deep brain stimulation, there's 2 parts to it. They basically lock up your skull, and the first part is they drill 2 holes in your skull. I'm not kidding, okay? And then what they do is they put 2 wires into the brain. Okay, so that's part 1. Part 2 is they put a pacemaker type mechanism in your chest, and then they can control it remotely, and they run electricity through your brain. And there's actually hardly any studies on this, okay? Now there's a bill they're trying to pass right now. It's called the 21st Century Cure Act. And basically it's calling to skip the scientifically sound and safety testing for new medical devices, okay? So they want to slip this in. Hopefully they won't get it passed. They slipped this in with the FDA, and now they don't have to do testing to even see if it's safe and use it even on children. I'm not kidding. Watch the links down below. I know some of you don't even want to know about this, but I think it's good to know about it because they're really pushing this big time. There's even a facility in New York right now that they're experimenting on kids, and it's sickening. So they're going from drugs now to this electrical device with actually no studies. Incredible. And it's because the drugs don't work, right? So what I want you to do is get the word out about natural things that you can do, because what's happening now is there's just no differentiation between cause and effect. Like, medical profession, especially psychiatrists, don't look at the cause and effect relationship. They get it confused. They say, well, depression caused insomnia, insomnia caused depression. They don't really look at cause and effect, okay? So check out some links below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.